Hello everyone, the Kentucky Patriot here. Like I said, most time I just try to have fun. We just, we'll go out to the range and shoot or whatever. Just try to have lighthearted videos. If you learn something, great. But this is going to be more of a serious video than it is an entertaining video. And I'm not trying to scare anybody or have any fear mongering going on. But I think it's a legitimate concern, and I don't think a lot of times folks are as prepared, or they feel like they're prepared when they're really not when it comes to water. And this is just a generalized video. I can make more if you'd like me to on specific topics that I'm going to discuss about water today. This is just a general video. Like I said, if you live in Arizona, it may be different than if you live in the swamps of Florida, than if you live up in Canada. But anyway, real quick, the importance of water. I think a lot of times when people begin to start prepping or whatever you want to call it, or try to get prepared for things, or for a natural disaster, they will have a lot of times bulk food, and they'll have like a case of water or something, which is fine, but a case of water isn't going to maintain or sustain you for very long at all, especially if you have like a family of 4 like I do. So in this video, I just want to throw out some ideas to you about water, some things you may not know, and some things to look out for, because I know used to people would have like rain barrels or whatever outside of their barn to catch it if they had a farm. But a lot of people in this day and age don't have a barn, don't have a farm, and rain barrels are great if it rains, but if you have a drought or whatever. And water needs to be used for more than just consumption. You still need to bathe if you have pets, whatever the case may be. So you've got potable and non-potable water. So depending on where you live, you just stake out the area, and if you live by a creek or a river or a lake, you may be able to get that water for non-potable reasons such as bathing, as we mentioned. But here's what I really want to talk about is actual drinking water, how to get, store, and purify water. And those life straws are absolutely fantastic. No, I'm not endorsed by a life straw or anything like that. I'm just telling you, I have them, I love them, they're great. Put in your vehicles, put on your boat, put in your backpack. They are fantastic. They do not sustain very long though. So if your go-to move is only a life straw, you're probably selling yourself short. Again, they're great, but you can't use them indefinitely. So having them for a backup will be great, but they won't be your go-to. Also, there's things you can get to purify water. There's water for purification systems. There's buckets you get that you filter. It's all of this. Different things. Those are fantastic. I totally recommend them. I have some. I probably should have got them out and showed them to you. There's different brands, but basically you have a couple buckets. You got a filtering process, and it'll filter larger amounts of water for more sustainable time. Also, a little hack here, a little tip that some of you may not know, and it's really easy to do, and it's really easy to have. Is just if you have a gallon jug, for milk, just rinse it out, or for water jugs that we shoot all the time, just get you some of those. And let's say you have a creek nearby, or you have a lake nearby, or a river, whatever the case may be, you can actually fill up one of those water jugs. Now, what I recommend is having more than one, and then you want to take you can use basically anything from basically like a coffee filter if you wanted to, or a t-shirt, clean t-shirt, cheesecloth, basically anything. And what you want to do is pour one jug maybe into another and strain out any big particles, okay? So especially if the water's, if it's a beautiful mountain brook in Tennessee, you may not have to do this, but I'm talking about in a survival situation when things maybe go south, or in like a Hurricane Katrina natural disaster, or as we talked about in other videos, when the stuff hits the fan. But anyway, you want to take the big a jug and pour it in and get the big particles out of anything, any kind of debris that's large, and you kind of strain it out as you pour, then get rid of it. So here you've got pretty much clear water in a gallon that's filtered, so to speak, with any big particles, but it's not free of any bacteria or microbes or any kind of organisms or parasites. So you certainly don't want to take a bad situation and make it a lot worse by coming in contact with any of them. What you can do, and it's different, people have different doses, different recommendations, but what I've always been around and heard is basically 7 to 8. I would probably go with 8 drops of bleach. Now, when I say bleach, it's just plain bleach. You can't use like some of the bleaches that has floral fragrances or some kind of lavender or whatever the case may be. It has to be plain bleach. And it depends on the concentration. You might want to use a little bit more or less, but if it's just your normal bleach, you can put about 8 drops of water or so into a jug of water and leave it sit 15, 20, 30 minutes. That's what they say. I've heard. Me personally, I'd leave it set a little bit longer, 2 or 3 hours. Shake it good, make sure it gets all through there good. And after 2 or 3 hours, you got some water to drink that, a gallon of bleach will last you forever if you're using 8 drops at a time. And you have some purified water, some sustainable sources of water with very little effort. Also, this isn't just sustainable all the time. But if you're really in a bind, you don't have bleach, and you have a little bottle of water, can't hardly do this with a gallon because the more water volume, the harder it is for the UV light to kill any thing. So you may be selling yourself short if you're trying to use a gallon jug. But if you have just a small bottle of water, or you have sometimes you have like pouches, if you get some kind of water into a Ziploc bag, as long as it's sealed, you can actually purify water through sunlight. Now, again, it's kind of like a life straw. It's not as sustainable as what you may have if you have access to rainwater or to the bleach or whatever. But to do something like that, really be able to sustain long periods of time is a no-go. But if you're in a bad situation, literally you put it out in front of the sunlight, you let it sit there a few hours. Those UV rays, the light itself, will kill hopefully a lot of your, or most or all of your bacteria or any of your microorganisms, whatever. They actually have some, and I've never used one, but they actually have some UV lights that you actually have to put in the water, and it'll do the same thing, but it requires batteries and stuff. And I just to me, I'm not saying it's a bad option. If you have that option as a backup, maybe fine, but I would rather use bleach, or I would rather simply boil it. That's the go-to. And but the problem with boiling is, I know a lot of people, especially in a stuff hits the fan situations, don't really want to have a fire, because if people see smoke, they think of food, they think of purifying water, they think of, and you could be drawing unwanted attention to yourself. And not everybody can go out and build a big fire, and maybe where you live, I don't know, maybe not have a fire pit. But I'll tell you what you can do, and it's very quiet, it's off the cuff. But like my back deck out here, I've got one of those Blackstone grills, or you can do it with a regular grill. I used to have a burner on the side burner. It's propane, so eventually your propane will eventually run out. So this isn't sustainable from now on. But what you can do is just boil your water on a gas grill, and nobody will know. You're not having smoke, you're not having any smell. It's just, you take you some water, you go out there, you boil it. And boiling is probably, that and bleach is your 2 best options if you can boil. If you live out in the country and you got a big huge pot and a big kettle and you can build a fire and boil water is fantastic. Just bring it to a rolling boil. It'll basically kill anything and everything, because you can kind of hunt for food, and you can sustain. There's a lot of ways we've talked about, and plants you can eat. We talked to you about wild edibles. We talked to you about MREs and storing food. Sure, you want to prepare for food, but I think water is so much overlooked. We'll have people that has shelves of food, and they'll have a case of water or no way to get water, and they just think I will catch rain or whatever. But I think you're certainly selling yourself short when you do that, because I know we don't like to, and it's not uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable for us, but you can actually go weeks without food. You can go 2 and 3 weeks, and even though you think you're dying, you're not. You're going to be fine. But you don't want to do that with kids, of course, and you don't want to. It's not an ideal situation, but you can survive without food. You cannot without water. You certainly don't want to start in the hole when it comes to water, trying to find water if it's already hot, and you're trying to consume water to find water, and it's not going to be a good idea. You certainly want to have plenty of water to begin with, and yes, I'm all for cases of water. Anything you can store that you can have, get it. It's fantastic. But even at that, it's probably not going to be sustainable. You don't have so many cases of water unless you've got a huge some kind of cellar or something. You don't have so much water stored. So you need to be able to have a renewable source of water. And that's why I would recommend those filtration systems, the bucket, some bleach, and or a way to boil your water. And again, I don't want to sound like a doomsday. Oh my goodness, the sky is falling. but you never know what's going to happen. I mean, there's things happening today that people would never dreamed of. There's empty shelves. There's kind of some unrest. There's things happening in this country that a few years ago, like I said, a Hurricane Katrina, we never would have dreamed that people would literally, it would be lawlessness and survival of the fittest in this country. Hope it never comes to that. But if things do start to go south, and I love you guys, and I'm saying this is, but there's a few of us in our community that guns is the answer to everything. It's just, well, you got a gun and ammo, gun and ammo, gun and ammo. Well, if you watch this channel, you know we're all for guns and ammo. We got, yes, store guns, store ammo, that's fine. But guns isn't the answer to everything. I mean, if you didn't have water in 3 days, your 50 BMG is not going to help you. It's just certainly not, okay? So you want to be able to protect your family. I get it. You want to be able to secure the perimeter, whatever the case may be. You need to have plans in place, but you also need to be realistic about what are we going to do when it comes to a situation of food and water. And we kind of went over food in a lot of videos, and we talked to New York Prepper and a lot of things, but I never really addressed water. That's just a few of the things you can do. There is some plants, there is some trees where you can get water, but again, that to me, that's more of a hiking, of a survival. When your car quits on you or whatever, and you have to walk and you get thirsty and you're out of water, you drank your last canteen or whatever, but that's not sustainable. I'm trying to tell you about some sources that I think will be more sustainable for a realistic situation. If you have a family of 4, that you need to provide them water, because that case of water that you have will really go away very quickly. So have some things in mind, have some of a plan. Like I say, and you say, well, I've got a brook goes right by my house. That can be shut off. Things can happen upstream. You never know. So if you have a brook like that, thank God for it. If you have a pond on your place, great. If you have a lake, great. Not everybody does. So even if you do have a stream that flows by your property or whatever the case may be, you never know what can happen upstream, especially in a survival situation. Your neighbors way up there may decide to dam it up to have them a sustainable source. You never know what can happen. So as I've told you in other videos, I like a plan A and B, but I also like a plan A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P. It's better to be safe than sorry. And in a situation where you need it, it's certainly good to have it. Kind of like concealed carry. People are like, oh, you carry a gun all the time, you're not going to need it. Well, you're right. 99.999% of you will never need it. But the 0.00001% that does, you are going to be thankful the good Lord above that you had it, that you were prepared, that you were ready. And the same thing when it comes to this. I hope and pray we never need any of it, but if you do, just want to throw you out some tips, kind of want to get you thinking, kind of get the ball rolling. Discuss it with your family and think what if. And I'll say this, and I'll try to, because my wife gets tickled at me. She says, how do you talk 20 minutes about water? How do you talk 5 minutes about water, 10 minutes about this or whatever? Because I can talk a lot. But if you've ever been out hunting or fishing or on a camping trip and you forget a little something, how inconvenient it is, like, oh my goodness, man, I wish I would have had. We need to play that role out basically in a situation like this, because it's not going to be like, oh man, that's inconvenient, or doggone it, I forgot my, no, it could be a little more dire than that. So you kind of want to play out, if this situation did happen, what would I do? What would my spouse do? What would my kids do? Can we sustain? How long can we sustain? What are we planning for? What happens if this fails? And have B, C, D plans in mind and in order, so that way you and your family can not only survive, but you can be well nourished. You can be well, have not to be worried about dehydration or what are we going to do and worry. It just kind of takes the stress and worry out of a bad situation to make it even worse. But anyway, I just try to cover a few things. There's a whole lot more on this topic, but I've thought about this for a long time, and finally I just asked my wife, I said, just grab the camera. I'm going to talk to him about this real quick. Maybe I'll demonstrate some of this for you one of these days. But anyway, like I said, wish you and your family the very best as always. Hopefully, I've got some bullets coming. Should be coming, shipping Tuesday. I'm really wanting to try. We're going to get out to the range really soon. New York Prepper had some things come up, so his schedule's been pushed back a couple weeks, but we're still planning on a great range day. Hopefully a lot of fun with him. Got a lot of things coming, so stay tuned. If you would, please like, share, and subscribe. Check us out on Instagram, Facebook. Wish you and yours the very best. May God bless you, the Kentucky Patriot. Signing off.